Hey, what's good, YouTube? Welcome to my podcast. Yeah, let's get right into it. I do want to talk about the debate between Billy Carson and Wes Huff. And mind you, I'm a fan of Billy Carson. I know a lot of the Christian community's definitely having a field day. After this debate. And But I believe just from listening to Billy Carson, he brings a unique perspective, to just ancient history and or particularly ancient, civilizations, well-known ancient civilizations like Egypt and you know the Olmecs, the Mayans, the Anunnaki, and also a different perspective, in regards to the biblical scriptures. And he also has an impressive background. Got a certificate of science, emphasizing in neuroscience science at MIT, and also he does have a certificate at Harvard for studying ancient civilizations. And Wes Huff, I've never heard of Wes Huff before this debate. And he also has an impressive background. I believe he has a bachelor's in sociology, master's in theology, and I don't know if he has his PhD yet, but he's working on it at the University of Toronto in biblical scriptures. So yeah, and mind you, he's Christian, so of course there's gonna be, he's gonna defend his stance in this debate. But yeah, let's dive right into it. So one of the first topics that was discussed, and I believe Billy Carson mentioned, Jesus wasn't crucified in the. I don't know if he said he wasn't crucified in the Book of Sinaiticus, but yeah, that was one of the focal points. So Wes Huff pulled up, I guess he has the actual books, in his, at his home. So, he pulled out the book and coming to find out, yeah, Jesus was crucified in the book of Sinaiticus. And then, Billy Carson backtracked and, said he was referring to the book of Barnabas. And, Wes Huff being a historian and theologian, I guess he studies, all these ancient or not ancient or yeah, ancient like literatures and I guess according to scholars, many historians, they're leaning towards that book being a forgery. So yeah, he definitely won that topic. And I was kind of hoping Billy Carson would have, came a little bit stronger on that point, but Wes Huff got him. I mean that's tech. That's Wes Huff's. You're basically that's his home field. So I don't think as far as the literature, you're not going to win that debate. But yeah, kudos to Wes Huff and on that part. But and then the second topic, when they brought up slavery and slavery being mentioned in the Bible, I think Billy Carson won this topic, um, but Wes Huff did try to bring up literature from the past and I guess his argument was saying that slavery back then, right, or at least in the biblical literature, right? It's not the way we perceive slavery today, right? Or he was trying to, that was his argument, and saying that, people, I could be wrong on this, but I think he was saying people were, you know, or slaves were treated, you know, better, than what, we know of now. Now, I disagree. I think he was just, trying to justify why slavery is mentioned in the Bible. Um, and I agree with Billy Carson's standpoint. I mean, slavery. We've, if you look at, slavery in the United States, just how horrific, and, how long it lasted, and how much of the effects, it impacts, a certain group of people. I mean, you can't justify that, so in my opinion, Billy Carson, won that part of the debate. I wish he would have, although he could have, brought up, more specific points, but I'll give Billy Carson that part of the debate. Um, I believe the third, or one of the third items was Jesus being married. And shoot, I forgot who. Now there's another document, and I forgot the name of the book, or but again, Wes Huff mentioned that that was also a forgery. I forgot the lady. I think she also was she studied biblical scriptures, and apparently somebody gave her, this information, and I guess she ran with it, and then, later down the road, more studies on that document, and come to find out it was a forgery, and, so, um, yeah, a second forgery, and, Wes Huff again. That's, home field advantage. I don't think, when it comes to those documents, hell, I could read something, and, I may not even, and the thing is, it's these forgeries are, you know, I know you can look it up, right? And Google, it might give you some information, but it's kind of hard to know, right, exactly if it is a forgery. So I think what gives Wes Huff, the upper hand, he works with, scholars, historians, so he can probably discuss these with these individuals, and, the masses are leaning towards, these some of these books being forgeries. So I'll give Wes Huff on the W on that. The last topic, the origin story, or one of the last topics, I believe it was in regards to the origin, or the book of Genesis. And, I think Billy Carson got Wes Huff on this one, although Wes Huff, you know, he did, he did bring up some good points, I guess, as far as winning the argument, right? Um, I believe Billy Carson mentioned that the book of Genesis is very similar to Enum Elish, and I believe that's one of the origin, or that's, I don't know if that's exactly just the origin story of the ancient Babylonians, or that might just be, um, or there that might just be the entire book and the origin stories in there. But I agree. I think, I wouldn't be surprised. You got to remember, shit. when I don't even know when exactly, when the Hebrews, or I could have said it incorrectly, when the Jewish people of Israel, right, were putting together these books, and I don't know what date, they wrote the origin story. You know what I mean? Um, so it's possible they could have got, um, their origin story from ancient Babylonia, or bits and pieces of it from Egypt, you know. And that wouldn't shock me. It's like the Olmecs, right? I believe they're the oldest known civilization in the Americas. And there's similarities, right, with the Mayans and the Aztecs. So, I wouldn't be surprised, and they're pretty far apart, um, and at least where they're, where they start from, right? And but this knowledge gets shared and spread down to the newer generation and whatnot. So but I guess the reason why Wes Huff probably won this last round, I guess his argument was saying that, well, a lot of origin stories are similar. I mean, it could just be lucky coincidence, and um, so I would say, as far as the arguments, overall, Wes Huff won the debate. But you know, there's obviously holes, right? As far as the origin story, you got to remember ancient Babylonia. That civilization is probably much older than those written books. So, and same with the Egyptians. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of their stories are it's from the ancient Egyptians. It's from the ancient Babylonians. So, and then but all in all, it was a good debate. I like listening to this stuff. A lot of people, and mind you, I'm atheist, so but a lot of people, want to bash Billy Carlson. I mean, you put a good you know you put somebody who can debate Wes Huff. If you put like a well-known, you know there's a lot of atheists that you got to remember, they also read these books from back to front. So I mean, if Wes Huff wanted to debate somebody, I mean, we can also just go right into the biblical scriptures. But I again, I like watching these debates. I learn, I'm learning stuff, and yeah, some things I do wanna touch on is, I've been watching videos, and you know there's Christians on there, you know trying to make it seem like they know what the Book of Sinaiticus was. Honestly, I never heard of the Book of Sinaiticus, and I'm pretty sure, a lot of people who go to church have no idea what that is. I mean, you would have had to, like, literally go to Bible study, and I mean, so I don't think a lot of people know that, and I bet a lot of people don't even realize that the all those books that were put together, in Israel, and I guess when they combined it into the Hebrew Bible, you know, and it was written in Hebrew, and I believe it was translated into, I think the Greeks translated it They were one of the first, I guess, they were the first group of people to translate that book from Hebrew to Greek. And then, I think the Romans got a hold of it, and I don't know what it was translated into after that. I want to say Latin, but you know, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. And then it got translated from Latin to English. So, I mean, if you look at it, in my opinion, and I think it was, when things get translated, it's much different than what it was originally. And I mean, they try to keep the they try to keep the original, meaning of the book and stuff. But that's all I have. Shit. And I'm kind of shooting from the hip on this video, so if you need to correct me on anything, feel free to. But yeah, my opinion is Wes Huff, won the debate. But again, you can poke a lot of holes through the biblical scriptures as well. And I personally didn't like how Billy Carson handled the loss. I mean, suing or sending a letter to Wes Huff, or I guess the lawyer sent his letter to Wes Huff, and I guess apparently, I don't know if it's true, if he really showed up at his door, but but I still like Billy Carson's perspective on things. It makes you think outside the box. I mean, if you really think about it, how many people do read all these biblical scriptures plus the forgeries? I mean, honestly, I bet you half the people, that follow religion, probably can't cite most of the, you know, I mean, they could cite probably the big ones like Mark. I don't know. I honestly, I don't even know what you know, the scriptures are. I would have to go actually read it, but, you know, but again, y'all, hope y'all enjoyed this video.